So Deebo Samuel got injured playing running back. Jerry Rice didn't like it. A lot of people defended the decisions, being like, well, he was not supposed to run between the tackles, an outside run, and if you like him when he's running them for touchdowns, you can't pick and choose, and those are fair points.
Yeah.
But let's go back and look at the contract that Deebo Samuel got. It's one thing to be given your second-round pick on a rookie contract, both carries and catches. He's not that expensive. But they gave him a contract worth $24 million annually. It's the richest contract they've ever given to a player in terms of guaranteed money. And they paid him on a wide receiver scale to be an all-pro wide receiver. And I think when they did this, a lot of people were saying, that's great. He had a great year. But if you pay him that money, you can't pay a running back that much money. It's too dangerous of a position. So now you're saying he's a wide receiver. And so this season, they kept using him as a wide back, and it seemed like, man, it's one thing to, give a guy a carry who's making $1 million a year. It's another to give a guy a carry who's making $24 million a year. Because if he gets hurt playing running back, you're going to feel stupid, even though there'll be 40 or 50 people on Twitter who have your back. So today, the Niners probably feel pretty dumb. And in retrospect, this contract extension for Deebo Samuel is not looking good. Because if you had told me beforehand that they were going to have to keep using him as a running back, then I'd say, well, you can't pay him like a wide receiver. And they are. And he's hurt. So this is, rough.
Yeah, I think the worst part about the contract is that it was wide receiver money, but he's used his best talent is more of a running back.
Right.
You hate to lose Deebo, and I'm happy for Deebo that he got the bag. But, the other perspective is I think a lot of these contracts, a lot of trades, you can judge them better after a time, right? I'm very cautious when it comes to making decisions about trades and contracts because what we've seen so far, maybe you could argue that it wasn't the best decision, but maybe next year he comes back and he's the Deebo that we saw from last year. So, only time will tell, I think, with Deebo. But I think that's the issue, that if you're really looking at the numbers of it, he was paid top wide receiver money, and he's not a top wide receiver this year. But he is an elite weapon. So it's tricky.
I mean, he's far from a top wide receiver this year. When he's targeted, the Niners quarterback rating is 73. He's struggling to get open. He's struggling to hold on to the ball. And so, the question is, why is he playing running back in the second quarter up 21-0? Why are you giving him carries at midfield? I get it when it's 0-0 in the red zone. Man, he can score a touchdown. It's worth the risk. But why are you giving him carries when you have Jordan Mason, you're up 3 touchdowns, and it's midfield? There's very little reward because it's not that you need a running back. It's because you need to justify paying Deebo. You got to give him the ball somehow. And it's not working as a wide receiver this year, so you got to use him as a running back, which only proves that this contract was a big mistake. So, in retrospect, when he did all the stuff he did this offseason and he asked for a trade, you might have just given him his wish.
I think, the frustrating part about that call in particular was that we still hadn't seen Jordan Mason up until that point. And, run your running backs, save your elite weapons for what they do best. And, yes, it was an outside run, and he probably should have followed Kittle on the outside. But to me, the biggest issue is not really that particular play. It's in general. Kyle Shanahan seems to have a real big problem with risk versus reward management. You saw it with Trey Lance, and I think that just escalates when we see guys like Deebo go down for running the ball when they're wide receivers, even though that's what he does best, So it's tough.
But to me, this is a mark of a coach who has unlimited job security. There's no accountability in the 49ers for Kyle. He knows Jed's never going to fire him, even though I try to say he's on the hot seat now. He knows he's here. He's a legacy hire. His dad was here when they won a Super Bowl. He's not going anywhere. And so if Trey Lance gets injured running, if Deebo Samuel gets injured playing running back, another coach would be under fire. Kyle can just be like, hey, man, that's football. And Jed's like, Kyle said that's football. I guess that's football. That's just the way it is.
One of the biggest knocks I see on Kyle Shanahan is that risk versus reward. He's just not in tune with that. He really needs to do a better job. And I hope somebody just kind of needs to tell him, hey, Kyle, we love what you're doing. You're doing a great job. You're on the right path here, but we really need to protect our franchise players, guys like Trey Lance, guys like Deebo. You got to do a better job protecting them. When you have alternatives, use the alternatives. And that's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah, because if they don't win a Super Bowl, it's going to be because of that.